Hey guys, all right, so sorry to be starting a couple minutes late. I was trying to tag everybody and it takes a while to tag everybody. So sorry about that. Now I know better. So today, welcome you guys. Again, we're having some humidity issues and I'm going to try to keep this monstrosity out of my face. I should have pinned it back earlier. Sorry guys. Okay. Today is the day 3 of the How to Eat Healthy Eating Challenge, and today, hopefully you got the emails. Again, as always, let me know if you're not getting emails, but you should be getting about 2 emails a day. As you guys come in, say hi Tula. I think that's you. Hold on, wait, Facebook. I think I know your profile picture. That's all it showed me was your profile picture. So say hi as you come in. Let me know you're here. Thank you for the hearts. I love the hearts. They're my favorite. But this is day 3. So today, hopefully you got the emails and we are working on really refining. Yes, it is you. Okay, I was right. Ha. Awesome. Thanks, Tula. I hope you're having a beautiful day so far. So we're really refining listening to your body, really recognizing those hunger and fullness cues, and then we're kind of adding that in and refining it a little bit more with eating to 80% full. And the reason for that 80%, I touched on this yesterday, how it takes your stomach a little bit of time to kind of communicate with your brain. So when you stop at around 80%, that kind of provides the barrier that you need so that your stomach and your brain have time to communicate, so that you're not stopping at a point where you think you're full and then over the next few minutes you realize that you're over full. So before we dive too much into that, again, let me know if you have not gotten emails, but they should all be going out hopefully, unless you're having like an email issue where it's like putting me in spam or something like that. So really quick, just a reminder, so the whole purpose of this challenge, it's the How to Eat version of my Healthy Eating Challenge, because I was kind of torn between doing a how to eat or a what to eat. The what to eat, I will be announcing, I think starting tomorrow, how you can start refining the what to eat and working with me more on figuring out what to eat as well as reaching more of your goals. So that's coming tomorrow. And then for this challenge, the whole goal of this challenge is to really give you some simple yet very foundational and powerful habits that you can start working on that will empower you to enjoy eating guilt-free and continue reaching your health and fitness goals. So that's kind of the purpose of this challenge. These are the foundational habits that I like to see even my clients have these in place and be really like 100% solid on them before we start messing with anything else, like intermittent fasting, like messing with macros, trying to like play with when they're eating, that sort of thing. Because really, if you do not have these foundational habits in place, it's really hard to make any other tools work for you as well as they could. So, because these habits are really powerful. They really are. They seem simple, but they're super powerful and they'll make a huge difference when you actually do them consistently. So, for those of you guys who are new to the group, new to me, I'm Jess Rowe. I'm a holistic health and fitness coach, and this whole group is here to help simplify healthy living, to help you make sense out of all of the ridiculous amounts of information out there and empower you to start discovering what is right for you so that there's no more confusion, there's no more anxiety. You just know that you are doing what is right for you and you trust that you are on the right path to achieve all of your goals and live life on your terms. So that's why we are here. Every month I host a challenge like this, so that we can really keep you motivated and on track. So this is one of my favorite parts of the month, though there are many other parts of the month I love as well, just hanging out with you guys. So, and this Friday, we are doing my first ever workshop. So it's kind of at the end of this challenge. It's a big culmination of it, and it helps you kind of make this little leap into being even more empowered with your meal choices. So, and just planning your meals, because that can be really stressful in and of itself. So Friday is the meal planning and prepping workshop, where I will walk you through creating at least 1 week's worth of a meal plan. If you are like ready to take the deep dive and do a full month, you will get that done this Friday. And then we will also cover how you can create a plan for actually prepping the food, so that you're not like stressed and overwhelmed and feeling like you're spending all hours of the day in the kitchen. So that's this Friday. You don't have to be part of the challenge. I know you're watching this, so you're in the challenge, but you don't have to be part of the challenge to join the workshop. So if you have a friend who would be interested in the workshop, but they weren't interested in the challenge, you are still welcome to invite them. The more the merrier. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be on Zoom, and so it's gonna be a lot more interactive, which is super fun. So that's what I'm really excited about. On that note, the more friends that you invite, the more engaged you are during this challenge, the more entries you're going to get into the giveaway. So we've got the first place where you can get the 60-minute goal setting session with me, where we'll create a 4-week plan for you, so you actually have some direction for the next month, plus a custom nutrition guide. Then second place is a 30-minute coaching call with me, where we'll tackle whatever your biggest obstacle is, and you also get the custom nutrition guide. And third place, you get the custom nutrition guide. So the more engaged you are and the more people you invite, the more entries you get. Make sure, though, if you do invite someone, let me know that you actually invited them. Otherwise, I don't know if I always can piece that together. Excuse me. So that is it. So quick recap. Day 1, we started working on the hand portion method, so that you can start bringing more awareness onto how much you are putting onto your plate. We kind of started working on fullness cues too, recognizing what portion size leads to what level of fullness. Then yesterday, we started really refining, recognizing both the hunger and the fullness cues by slowing down your eating. And then today, we're working on further refining that and adding in eating to 80% full, like I just described, because we want to give your brain and your stomach that buffer that it needs to actually determine when you're full without overstuffing you, because that's probably one of the few sensations that we actually recognize as fullness, is that sensation of being overstuffed, especially if we spent our whole lives basically being taught to not listen to our hunger and fullness cues, or eat so fast that there's no time to recognize when you're actually properly full versus overstuffed. So today we're really dialing in the listening to your body, working on that 80% full. Now, if you did not know what fullness feels like, and I'm asking you to now stop at 80% full, that can be a bit of a leap. That can be a really big challenge to try to make that determination. So I gave you guys a tool in the email today that helps with that. It's that Hunger Game worksheet. So hopefully you've printed that out, and actually hang tight. I'm going to grab mine because I like the reference. All right, here we go. Hunger Game worksheet. So I love this thing because we start off with this how you should feel timeline, which is just so very helpful. So it gives you the 1 to 10 hunger scale, which is really, really helpful, especially when you don't know what fullness actually feels like. And so you're having trouble making that leap from when am I full, like 100% full, to what is 80% full. So this worksheet is going to help you with that. It's also going to help you dial in your understanding of your specific hunger and fullness cues, because to one person, maybe they get the normal rumbly stomach when they're hungry, and maybe someone else, they start to get lightheaded. Like, there's no telling. Like, there's a number of hunger cues that you want to try to figure out what are yours. Same with fullness cues. It's also going to help you hone in on what that 80% feels like, because you're going to have that hunger scale, 1 to 10. 10 being the hungriest you've ever been, and 1 being like not hungry at all. it's going to help you get clear on when it's right for you to eat because of this lovely how you should feel timeline. So it kind of breaks down the full hunger scale and how that hunger scale fits into your day and the hours between when you're eating as well, which is kind of fun. So it's going to help you start actually recognizing when your eating patterns are. Like, are you a person that gets hungry every 4 hours? Or are you a person that gets hungry every 6 hours or something like that? And then just generally, because you're actually tracking over here, let's see, oh my gosh, I can't pull the pages apart. There we go. So you actually have this space here. This is just the example in here where it's got these like little notes written, but it gives you this space to like take notes on what is going on with your body. Plus you get to circle which numbers you're feeling. So you really get to know your body on a much deeper level than just thinking about it. Because when you actually start putting it on paper, it makes it a lot easier. It makes the patterns a lot easier to spot. And it makes it all a lot less confusing. So I definitely encourage you to at least try using this for like a week, right? Use it for the rest of this challenge and through the weekend. And you'll be really surprised with how much you learn about yourself. So when you are using it, let's talk a little bit about this hunger scale. So we've got this lovely space, like just before eating, like when should you be eating is when you are, it says right here, at a 7, right here, at a 7 to 10 out of the hunger scale. So if you're anything less than that 7 to 10 out of the hunger scale, you can take that time to explore like, okay, why am I thinking about food? Is this like a craving? Is this boredom? Is this an emotional thing? Is this a stress thing? You get that space to explore why you suddenly have this desire to eat if you're not a 7 out of 10. Then going through, you've got like immediately after eating, right? That's your next one. Ideally, you're stopping at a 2 to 3 out of 10, and that is 80% full. So once you start learning kind of what your hunger scale looks like, what's your 1, what's your 10, you can start really honing in on, all right, where's my 2 to 3? And that's when I'm going to stop eating. It makes it a lot easier to just make that determination, right? So this gives you that information, right? And then we've got like an hour after finishing, kind of how you're going to be feeling. You should still feel physically satisfied with pretty much no desire to eat. So that's when I know I had some people in the Kickstart that I ran, they were still thinking about food even after eating it. And so then we would want to look at, well, did you actually eat enough? Were you actually at a 2 to 3 on that hunger scale? Were you maybe still at more of like a 3 or 4 or a 5? And that'll help you really hone in on that. 2 hours after finishing, kind of starting to feel hungry, but you're not at that 7 out of 10. And then 3 to 4 hours after eating, that's where you might start getting closer to that 7 if you're a person that tends to eat every few hours, like especially if you do the smaller portions every few hours. That's a very normal eating pattern. Some people just eat like that, and that's fine. So you kind of end up doing maybe 4 meals throughout the day. Totally normal. If that works for you, especially if you're hitting a 7 to 10 on the hunger scale and stopping at a 2 to 3, that might be your normal, and that's okay. And then once you're clearing that 4 or more hours after eating, that's when you're almost definitely going to be hitting a 7 to 10 on that hunger scale, but you might not. It might be more than 4 hours after eating if you are that kind of person. So this just really helps you get to know yourself better, get to know your cycles a little better. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the actual like rhythms and cycles that go on in your body a little bit to give you a little bit more information and a little more insight onto that. So one of the things I wanted to mention, kind of just talked about, like, if you are a person that eats more frequently, you're probably doing smaller portion sizes, then again, that's probably pretty normal for you. We'll talk a little bit about how to tell if it's normal and if it's working for you towards the end today. Again, some people do like bigger portions less frequently. So like think the 3 solid meals a day where you're just eating kind of like an average portion size at 3 different meals. And you may or may not get hungry for a snack in between. Totally normal. And then occasionally, I want you guys to know that it is possible that you may be one of those relatively rare individuals who really just does not want to eat more often than maybe once or twice a day. And again, we'll talk about how to know if that's actually working for you or not here in a little bit, but it does happen. Those people do exist, and there's nothing wrong with them as long as you've made sure that it's working for you. And you're probably eating much larger portion sizes too. Like if you're eating once or twice a day, then you're eating your full, like all of your portions in just like 1 or 2 sittings. Totally normal if it works for you. So let's talk a little bit about the circadian rhythms. So I wanted to mention this because this was one, when I started learning about this, it kind of blew my mind, and it made me realize just how incredibly important all the other aspects of our life are in supporting our health and our eating habits and just our overall quality of life. So if you guys have been with me for very long, you have heard me talk about my 4 pillars of health, and that's going to be the movement, nourishment, rest, and stress management. I preach that you cannot just do diet and exercise and get results. You might get some, but it's not going to lead to the long-term results that you're looking for, and it's not going to lead to long-term health and happiness if you're not addressing the rest and the stress management aspects of things. So I want to just talk a little bit about the actual circadian rhythms, and you guys have probably heard about that before. It's just that the 24-hour light and dark cycle of our planet and how that actually affects your body, because it actually affects your body a lot more than I think many people realize. So our bodies evolved to work with this 24-hour light and dark cycle, whether you believe in evolution or intelligent design. Sorry, I was like, what is it called? Either way, our bodies are designed to work with a 24-hour light dark cycle. We are meant to be active when it is light, and we are meant to be asleep when it is dark. And many processes happen within our bodies in conjunction with that. So like, you're not going to be eating while you are sleeping, right? So your body is generally not going to be prepared to like do anything with the food that you eat if you're eating late at night. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but think for a minute. So if you're designed to be moving and active and just doing stuff up and awake, right, during the daytime when it's light, and you're meant to be asleep when it's dark, imagine what is going on with your body and how confused your body might be living in this day and age where you're constantly exposed to artificial lights, especially like the artificial light of like your TV, your phone, your computer while you are laying in bed when you're supposed to be asleep. Your body is like, I'm so confused. Like, is it light? Is it not light? Am I sleeping? Am I awake? I don't know. So think about that for a minute. And let me just share a little bit of information on actually like what happens with your body. Like, how is it supposed to be when you are actually in alignment with your circadian rhythms versus what's happening if you're not in alignment. Excuse me. Okay, so let me pull up. I have this glorious list that it just blows my mind every time I read it, and I love it. So hang on one sec. There it is. So your circadian rhythms, the way your body coordinates with that light and dark cycle, it's going to affect everything in your body. Most importantly, body temperature. This is why when you travel across multiple time zones, especially if you go like on the other side of the world, you might, when you're supposed to be asleep, when your body thinks you're supposed to be asleep, you might experience a temperature drop and just get like really cold all of a sudden. And that's why, because your body temperature is actually supposed to go down while you're asleep. Your heart rate and your heart rhythm are going to be affected by the light-dark cycle. Imagine when you are awake, your heart is going to be pumping a little harder and faster to support your activity. When you're asleep, it gets to slow down, right? Digestion is a big one, of course, because again, you're not going to be eating when you're asleep. So this is kind of what throws anyone who has to work a night shift. It throws your body off. Even if you've been doing it for a while, it can still really mess with your body. I know I worked nights for several months when I worked as an EMT in our 911 system. It was not pleasant. My body was not happy. It was very, very bad. There was no getting used to it either. So it really can throw off your digestion. It makes digestion harder, but it also can affect how well you're able to absorb nutrients. So it can actually lead to like malnutrition. And it can also lead to increased fat storage, because when you are asleep, your body is going to take whatever or when you're supposed to be asleep, your body's going to take whatever food that you were eating at that time, it's going to store it as fat, because you're not supposed to be active right now. You shouldn't need it for fuel, right? So that leads to more fat storage, which can lead to shift workers struggling with their body composition. It's going to mess with your hormones as well. Your hormones are on both. So for women, we have both a 24-hour cycle as well as our monthly cycle. And that 24-hour cycle is going to be like all the stress hormones and that sort of thing, our immune system, all of that. So that's the next one on the list. Immunity and tissue repair. Those are both, like, your body does most of its healing when it's asleep. If you are awake when you were supposed to be asleep, now you're not healing very well. Now you're more prone to getting sick. Same with appetite and hunger. Your hormones that trigger your appetite, that help you actually set which cycles are proper and appropriate for your body when you're hungry, those hormones operate on a 24-hour cycle that are affected by day and night. So when you are just getting exposed to too much light and not enough dark, or not getting enough sleep, it's going to affect your hunger. I will go into that here in just a sec. So the other ones are going to be like mood and emotions. If you're not sleeping well, your emotions are not well regulated. You process a lot of your emotions and pretty much everything you experience throughout the day when you're asleep. So if you're not sleeping, again, you're not processing that stuff. Your energy and alertness are going to get affected. If you're chronically exposed to light and not getting the sleep you need, you're starting to burn out all of your energy reserves, and your body has no time or space to replenish them. And then, of course, like growth, development, aging, all the hormones and stuff, all the processes involved in that. So let's talk for a minute about how your body actually uses the calories and the nutrients that you eat, right? So I just mentioned, if you're eating at night when you're supposed to be asleep, all of that is going to go towards fat storage instead of getting burned as fuel. And this is seen in shift workers who have even been working that shift for a long period of time. Their bodies simply just do not make the switch. If it's nighttime, that food is going to be stored as fat. If it's daytime, that food is going to go towards energy. Like, period, end of discussion. It doesn't matter how long you've been awake at nights and sleeping during the day. So then, let's see. Let me see if I missed something that I was wanting to tell you guys. Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, so then there are other things that are going to affect your rhythms as well. And they can either help support your rhythms, help regulate your body, or they might hinder it. So stress, that's the big one. That's going to hinder your rhythms, right? That's stress, not sleeping well. Physical activity, especially when it's done during those peaks where you have energy, that is going to help regulate your rhythms. It's going to help regulate digestion. When you choose to eat, so if you are kind of like artificially trying to impose when you're supposed to eat onto your body instead of recognizing those hunger and fullness cues, that can really throw you off and make it harder for your body to actually regulate properly. Your environment's going to throw you off or support you either way, like sensory stimulation, your social interactions, what season it is, like many things can affect your cycles. This is why it's like totally normal for you to have a particular cycle that you go through like in the summer versus when you get into the winter, things might shift a little bit, right? Like the length of time during the day is shifting. It's a different season, like very normal. It's normal to shift cyclically with the seasons. So how aligned you are with your circadian rhythm, whether you're actually honoring that rhythm, whether you're listening to and honoring those hunger and fullness cues, if you are kind of making that effort to decrease your light exposure at night and prioritizing getting good rest, you're going to be better regulated. And what happens when you are not getting well rested, or when you're having to do shift work? And I know, unfortunately, like sometimes it's not a choice, right? But it's going to affect how hungry you are. It makes it harder, right, to recognize those hunger and fullness cues. So when you don't sleep as much as you need to, it's actually going to trigger your hunger hormones, so it makes you more hungry. It's going to affect your cravings. So generally they've found that there's an increased preference for sweets at night. So if you are staying up much later than you should and then getting cravings for sweet foods, that is why. So try to go to bed a little bit earlier, and that's going to help manage those cravings. Getting a little bit more sleep will also manage those cravings for sweet foods. Then also just think about, like, if you're getting enough sleep, it makes it a lot more easy, right? It makes it more manageable to deal with any cravings and to make healthier choices. When you're not well rested, not well regulated, it gets harder and harder to make those healthy choices, right? Whether you want to call it like willpower, self-discipline, anything like that, it just gets harder, because the less and worse you sleep, the more likely you are to overeat, because those hunger hormones are getting upregulated. So they're making you think you're hungrier than you are. And then it's harder to read those hunger and fullness cues. You're also more likely to seek out those like highly processed, high sugar, high salt foods that are not healthy for you. And we mentioned yesterday how those are a lot harder to gauge your hunger and fullness cues with those, because of the processing they've gone through. And then again, you're just going to struggle to control your eating. You're going to struggle with making those healthy choices. And you're just not in a very good emotional state, a good mental state for making those kind of choices from an empowered place versus like a survival place, right? So, I didn't really mean for this to be like a full talk on trying to convince you to sleep more, but there it is. Your circadian rhythms are very important to helping you manage your relationship with food and reaching your health and fitness goals. So keep that in mind. This is why this is one of the big things that I work with my clients on. So now you have all that fun information. Let me know how that helps you. We're getting to the end here. This one's going a little longer, so just bear with me. Let me know if you guys have questions too. I always love answering the questions. So one big thing that always seems to come up is the question of like, well, I'm a night owl. Like, do I have to go to bed earlier? So there are different chronotypes, right? There's the different, I think they actually like, I labeled them with animals and stuff. Like there's like the dolphin chronotype and the bear and like a couple others. And that one's kind of a fun quiz to take if you can find it. But it's basically where people have different patterns of waking and sleeping, different times of the day when their energy tends to be highest. And then it's going to affect like when you're hungry as well, right? So totally normal if you tend to sleep in a little bit in the mornings and go to bed a bit later. That's probably normal for you. And we'll talk about how to know if it's working for you. Some people get up early, go to bed early. Like, it's okay to have that different chronotype, okay? So you're using this challenge, right, to help get to know your body better. So hopefully, especially with using this Hunger Game worksheet, you're able to really start getting to know your body a little bit better, and start kind of figuring out, like, what is your chronotype? Like, when are you generally hungry? When are your energy levels the best? Like, when do you wake up and go to sleep? Like, what seems to be your pattern? And I love taking that time to just get to know your body and what your body's preferences tend to be before you start worrying about like what's normal, because there's no, like, there's kind of like generalized groups, right? Like the different chronotypes, but you are still your own unique individual person. So instead of worrying about like what the normal is, what the average is, like just find what works for your body, right? So how do you know if it works for your body? The two big questions for you are, one, do you feel well regulated? Like, do you feel like you're sleeping well? Do you feel like you're eating enough? Do you feel like you're moving enough? Like, do you feel comfortable in your body? Or do you feel like it's not working? You'll get that sense, especially as you're working on this and really getting to know your body. You're also working on your intuition by doing all this. So you will know. You will know if something feels off. And then two, are you actually moving towards your health and fitness goals? Are you making those goals your reality? Are you making progress? And if you're not, like if you are moving in the other direction and you are actively getting worse, then that is a surefire sign that whatever you're doing is not working for you, right? Versus, there's a difference, right, between it's like obviously getting worse or you're just not making progress as fast as you would like. So sometimes you just got to manage those expectations and know that as you continue working on it, like it's going to start snowballing eventually. Like you're going to make little bits of progress, and then it's going to get faster and faster. And then suddenly you're going to be like, whoa, I'm here. Like I did it. I achieved that particular goal and I'm ready to move on to the next one. So keep that in mind. Are you feeling well regulated, and are you moving toward your goals? Those are the really big questions. So for example, let's talk about breakfast, because I hear this one a lot. Should I be eating breakfast? And of course, the answer is it depends, right? It depends on your chronotype and whether it works for you. So the concern, right? This is where the whole thing of like, everyone should eat breakfast, right? It's the most important meal of the day. So studies had found that people who skipped breakfast tended to overeat at night. And so they had a body composition they were not happy with. And they were out of control with their eating, right? But there are plenty of people out there who have the chronotype where they are not hungry in the morning. And they eat breakfast whenever they get hungry in the morning, maybe mid-morning, maybe it's a little closer to lunch, who knows. And they have no issue with overeating. They're very well regulated, right? They eat as much as they're supposed to. They are happy with their body weight. They are happy with their eating habits. They're well regulated. That person does not need to eat breakfast. If you're a person who skips breakfast, and then goes on to stay up really late and chow down on all the sweets you can get your hands on, you might want to eat breakfast. So you have to play it by ear. You have to look at what's going on for your body, watch those cues, decode those cues, use the Hunger Game worksheet, because that will really help with decoding all of those cues that your body gives you, because like that's a lot. Like, you're basically looking at what all goes on a regular basis on a 24-hour cycle. So that's a ton of potential data that you're having to like try to remember in your brain. So stick it down on the paper, put it down on that Hunger Game worksheet, and after a few days, you're going to start to recognize your patterns. You're going to start to recognize what stressors are throwing you off. Like, are you like constantly emotionally like stress eating, or are you eating too fast? Are you not planning the meal soon enough in advance, and then you're eating too fast and not feeling good? Like, it will help you identify all of these things. Oh, hey, Michelle. Yes. Watch the replay. Yes, we're wrapping up. So, but it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, that Hunger Game worksheet is going to help you identify your specific patterns that work for you. And then it's also going to help you figure out if these patterns that you're noticing about yourself, if those actually are working for you, or if you need to start making some shifts here and there. So it makes it a lot easier. It empowers you so much more, as opposed to just being like, oh, well, I read that I'm supposed to eat breakfast, so I guess I have to. Maybe you don't. Like, maybe you really don't. So I hope that helps. Let me know what you come up with on these sheets. Like, this is one of my favorite things to like start reviewing when I do this with my clients. I'm always like, oh, I want to see your sheet. I want to know what you came up with. So feel free to share it here, especially if you need like an extra set of eyes to kind of help you decode it. and then let me know how it's helping you. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps. I didn't see any questions in the Facebook group. I'll double check real quick. And nope, no questions in the Facebook group. And I didn't have any in my email that I saw. So if I missed anything, or if you have a question later, let me know. And I'm happy to answer it, either, email response or whatever, or I'll just talk about it tomorrow. So that's it for now. Go work on that Hunger Game worksheet. Go have fun learning your body a little bit more, and practice eating to 80% full at your meals today and see how it goes. So that's it, guys. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.